Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group called Navigate to Your Niche.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the Niche Navigator, coming to you. Welcome to another episode of Munira's Musings. I have a new guest with me today and a very interesting one. She talks about living in your DNA. And my guest here is Holly. Now, Holly has another name too, so you'll tell me about that.
Sure.
So thank you. Thank you, Holly, for being here. My show, Munira's Musings, came about because there's a lot of interesting people in this world who are doing such extraordinary things. I wanted to share that with everybody. So I created this show about Munira's Musings, and I bring a guest on, and allows me to be curious, to learn a little bit about their journey to their niches, because I'm the niche navigator and I help people get on their path, but everybody else who has found their path has had some struggles, had some trials and tribulations to get to where they are. And it's not enjoyment, but I learn from their mistakes what not to do. So that's a point, and that's what we want to bring to this show. So let's dive right in. Thank you so much for being on my show. So should I call you Holly or should I call you Akurda?
Akura. Akura is like my mission name. And so in a lot of other languages, the alphabet is actually more of like a tone, right? It's actually meant to be more frequency. And the English alphabet is very derivative of like of consonants and syllables coming together to create words. But in a lot of other languages like Sanskrit, right? It's like this, each part of the alphabet actually represents like a vibrational frequency. And so we are vibration, we are sound. And that's like why mantras work, and because they're actually, these sounds that create movement and energy in the body. So that's kind of how Akura came to be.
So how did you pick that name?
So that name was actually given to me by a council of people called the Galactic Council. And when I started working with DNA, it was very apparent with their help that this was going to be my mission. It was always encoded with me. I've spent about 25 years doing different healing modalities all over the world. And it went from like the earth snake medicine, basically, and it turned into the conscious form of working with DNA. And so when I accepted my mission here on this planet to help humanity basically clear and recode DNA for our genetic future, that's pretty much how that came to be.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty interesting. So let's start from, did you just say earth and snake?
Yeah, so in indigenous cultures, the snake really represents DNA, represents like wisdom, flow, transformation, and so that's really first how for many, many years, this medicine came to me. And it was like the very grounded earth part of the medicine. And, in the last I would say 5 years, it really transformed into really working with double helixes, really working with our genetic structure. And then, I started really reading, like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Akashic Records, but the Akashic Records is like basically like a field of records that people tap into. And, a lot of people get their information that way. Well, I started to read Akashic Records through DNA, and what I started witnessing is that 90% of junk DNA is not junk DNA, but is really like our book of life, past, present, ancestral, and that we can go in and we can really read our own DNA. And so, you know, when we're having a struggle in this life, like let's just say you have lack consciousness, or you are able to build wealth and then you keep losing your wealth, or money struggles. Sometimes money struggles may not even be from this life. Okay, they can be from a past life, and they can also be ancestral. So we kind of go through the DNA and figure out like what, bless you, like what, you know, what are the situations in your book of life that are repeating themselves in this life? And we go through and we clear them out of the DNA, and then we rewrite them. Okay. And then we bring the energetics of the body back into balance.
This sounds like a sci-fi movie. Yeah, but okay. No, but this is interesting. It's not weird, but it's interesting because it's tapping into something that's scary, but it's happening right now. So when you say going into the DNA, how do you do that? Do you look under the microscope? I'm looking at a lab, right? In my head, I have a picture.
So we all have this really beautiful inherent wisdom to ourselves. We have our higher self that guides us, that leads us. And, you know, if you really ask your higher self to show you these places inside yourself, you will. And it's very easy for people to go inside themselves, find their DNA, find their double helix, and have visual representations of these a lot of times they look like either phrase or fragments or shattered or leaking energy inside different strands of DNA. And then we go through and we kind of communicate with these different aspects and then clear and recode them with light, geometry, intention.
You said you were from the Midwest, and you said you traveled around the world doing different things with
different healing modalities. Yeah. Studying with different indigenous cultures, different, you know.
So where did this stem from? I mean, where is this interest coming from? This was right from when you were a child, or?
Well,
why healing?
Yeah. I mean, healing has always been the through line throughout my whole life. I have always been really curious about like I can remember having deja vu when I was a kid. I knew that I had past lives. I was always talking to different realms or different people. So I always had that. So for me, I knew that there was something more than this physical body. And so the curiosity came from understanding my soul part and the human part. And that has been the biggest curiosity in my life, you know, understanding how this body is the sensory device, right? The vehicle for this higher aspects to be experienced. And I mean, my whole life has been like this. This has been the forefront.
Wow. It's pretty interesting. So you would have, and then you said your name was given to you by a
group of people.
So there's a lot. There's just not one of you. There's a lot of people who are doing this.
Yeah, and you know the last name Melchizedek actually comes from, if you're familiar with Melchizedek in the Bible, or, you know, it's really an order or a group of people who come together to really bring these types of like light geometries and matrices back to the planet. You know, we're coming into a time that we're having a lot of consciousness shifts that, you know, we're starting to witness ourselves as creators and as manifestors, that we're creating our own reality, right? And we're witnessing the power of this. And we're witnessing that we're elemental alchemies. You know, if you take Vedic, Ayurvedic medicine, right? It's a balance of the 5 elements inside the body. Well, people are understanding that they're grasping this, and they're creating with it. And it's starting to really expand in our consciousness that not just inside of our body are we creating with the 5 elements, or these geometries, is that like we are creating in this holographic like earth template, and that we can actually create with these templates, right? And they're all within our body. Like past, present, and future is happening all within our body. And there's certain parts of templates that we can tap into anytime that we choose.
So when you talk about going back and changing the DNA, because this is coming from another, your before life and not right now, how does one do that? Is this like a hypnotic state, or because 90% of the people in this world are still struggling about money, right? That's the biggest issue. So how do they?
So again, going back to like the struggles with money, they can be past, present, or they can be ancestral lineage. Okay. And so when you really start to understand your energetics, when you start to really turn your focus internally instead of externally, you start to have these moments of witnessing inside yourself of your own patterns, right? And you can really gain a lot of information, right? And a lot of clarity and a lot of choice points for making different choices in this life. So, part of I think the bigger picture for people is to be able to have some distance, right, from reaction, right? So being in a reflection and making choices instead of like a reaction period gives you an opportunity to have a choice point to make new decisions. And this is where, we start to gain more energy, more power, more clarity, right? And, I really feel that for, a lot of people who are struggling with money, there's also this other layer that might be where they don't quite understand their divine purpose and their soul mission, right? And working from their soul mission. Like, we decided to come here. We created this body. We encoded this body with exactly what we needed for our mission, and whatever that looks like. And it's different for other people. We chose our parents to be in vibrational alignments for the lessons that we were meant to learn, right? And, these lessons that we were meant to learn are these moments, either in past, present, or ancestral, where we kind of gave power up, where we decided that something was the truth that was in direct contradiction to the truth of who we were, okay? Our divinity. And so we kind of lost power. This is kind of like what karma is, right? But we're given in this life an opportunity to claim that power back and start creating with that. And when you understand your divine blueprint, how you created yourself, we have these energy centers that, we have, one or two energy centers that are our predominant energy centers because they carry the inherent amount of gifts to complete our mission, So for me, one of my most active energy centers, or the way that I was created, is that my throat chakra is my, I'll say has more energy, or is like a larger part of my chakral system, right? Because I've always meant to do this. I've always meant to be writing books. I've always meant to be, teaching. Like that's just how I was created, how I created myself. And so when we really start to understand our blueprint, start to understand our purpose, our mission, and start aligning with our energetics, a lot of this lack consciousness, or not knowing, or like when we're talking about like niches, right? Like a niche for me is just something that was like completely my mission. Okay. When you dive deep into your niche, into your mission, you go very deep, right? And we stop going far out. I see with a lot of business people, what they do is they want to create all these different programs. They want to create all these different things, and they're miles out, right? But they're not really deep with one thing,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
this is the niche, right?
Yes, you're right.
This is the passion. This is the thing that you're deeply committed to. You came here for. You like, this is it. Like this is part of the expression of who you are. And I think this is really important in for me, the way that I have a business or run a business.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So how does one understand how when you start learning all of these things, if you are teaching it, how long is the program?
So
there's a learning part to this, right? Of course, there's a learning part.
yeah. So the program is 6 months long, and in these 6 months, we really start to dive into what like the first session is really about like understanding your avatar consciousness, like the vision, the highest vision of yourself. And so we do a neuro-linguistic avatar consciousness programming where you walk yourself out 5 steps as like a hologram, right? And then you envision yourself in the complete fullness of the truth of who you are, and then you walk it back in. And this becomes like the template for the rest of the work. And then we start working on the physical energetic system, the chakral system, your holographic sight, moving energy up and down through the body, through the spinal cord, the pineal gland. All of these things are a system of our whole being, right? And I don't feel that we can any longer create from our mind. Okay, we get to create from the fullness of who we are. And that's truly what we're moving into as our shifts of consciousness are happening, is that we get to understand the fullness of our body, of our energetics. There's no creation from here anymore, right? This is a manifestation where this is truly a creation.
One connect with you, how does learn more about all of these things? And this is interesting.
So first I want to say is like what you're witnessing and experiencing is that you are resonating at a certain frequency and vibration. We're light, we're waves, right? We present in this physical form, but we're light in our waves. So when we are thinking about something, manifesting something, and if we're really in alignment with it, our whole frequency changes, and it becomes the frequency of the thing that we want to manifest. And then it's like frequency attracts frequency, right? And that's the same for like if we have a negative, not negative, but a lower density frequency. It's like why this is how we keep repeating the same patterns over and over, right? Is this lower frequency attracts another lower frequency, okay? And so you're starting to really witness this because you yourself are changing. You yourself are becoming the frequency. You've shifted some things in your life, right? That you can clearly be a vibrational frequency for this to come in. If people want to get a hold of me, if they want to know more about this, they can find my landing page for our community at Akurda, ACURDA, at livingyourdnacode.com. And my email is Akashic at livingyourdna.
Living your DNA. Okay, so and after this interview, could you please put this information in the comments?
Yeah. And then if you come to the landing page, there is an ancestral clearing of the first 2 strands of DNA that everybody will receive.
Oh, that's awesome. For those people who are interested in learning about this, go ahead and tag or find Akurda, because this is a really interesting subject. The fact that we are evolving, the fact that we are energy. This has come up in a lot of interviews lately, and maybe we should do a segment on this. Who knows, right? But it is what it is, and there's lots of people who are moving towards this line of study, and it's creating a lot of momentum for people to, I think, explore out of their realm to understand, 1, who they are and where they've come from, and 2, where they're going, right? Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that you shared the fact that not how you expand, but how deep you go into. And that's what it is when I help my clients look and find their niche, it's not out there. You just don't find it. It's not like something you get in a store or something. You have to look within yourself. So this looking within ourselves has become a reality. It's becoming a vibration where everybody is now talking about it. And I'm curious now to learn where this is going to take us, because it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. And, this last year is like what's really been important for me and my work is getting on big platforms and asking, what genetic legacy do we want to leave behind for future generations?
Yeah.
Like, because we know that this is true, because we know that we are inheriting our ancestors' genetics, right? Like everything that we're doing matters. So what do we want to leave behind, and how do we see ourselves in the future?
Yes. So this is a question that you want to ask is what are you leaving behind? There's a lot of people out there who are they're stagnant in their life. They want to do something, but they are scared. But besides that, if you're also moving up and you're curious and you're moving towards your goals and towards your niches, let's talk about what legacies you're going to leave. Some people are writing books. Some people are, leading programs. Some people are doing a lot of things. What are you doing? So this is a question that we have to answer. And, I don't know how to answer this, but Akurda can. So she can help you with that, and she'll leave her contact information below. And for those of you watching, if this is a curious subject, go to the landing page and see what she has in store for you, because you never know, right? It could open up another door. And for those of you watching, if you like what we have here, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, because this has been a very interesting subject, a very interesting topic, and we may explore it a little bit. So give us your comments and let us know what kind of impact this interview has done for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this
Bye.
episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group